Welcome back, guys, to another amazing episode of the Third Shield Pokemon Go PvP podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest for you. It's Jingles himself. He's an amazing PvP player, and I wanted to have him on the podcast specifically because he have reached rank 10 so far every season, and I just want to pick his brain on how to get better at PvP and how to rank up not only in Go Battle League, but also in Silph Arena, since we have a new season going. So, Jingles, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. Big pleasure to be here. Love the podcast so far, so it was a no-brainer when you asked me.
Thank you so much. Linden, I think the first person Linden told me, Linden Ryu, who's an amazing battler, the first person who told me I need to have on the podcast, once he came on our podcast, he right away said you. So it just took us a little while until Linden and I were synced up, and then we synced up and everything, and then we lined up. But finally you're here, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, cool, man. I'm definitely excited to be here.
And what I wanted to ask you right away up front is, because we were in the middle of the season, actually, probably like at the dead center of the season. So what I wanted to ask you is that compared to all the other seasons and this season in Go Battle League, how do you feel about it so far, and how you're doing so far? I know you're out in the leaderboard, but as far as like grinding it out, leveling up, ranking up and all those, how do you feel about the season so far?
I would say that this season so far is definitely different because of the amount of games getting you to rank 9, as opposed to just hitting an elo after 50 something wins like it was in the past. I think it's good for like the community as a whole, sort of, because I know personally, like my local Discord and chat and stuff, they've been a lot more active in Go Battle League this season, since you just keep playing. Like, you're not looking at elo, you're not like, they're not discouraged, but like some people, more hardcore players, are not as much encouraged. It just feels like just grinding repetitively, which I get as well, but there's no perfect way, I don't think, for Go Battle League. But I do like the I enjoyed kind of like the little like race to who could get to rank 9 first, which I'm pretty sure Linden won. Not There was no other like confirmation that we saw of somebody beating him to it, so that was fun. Like, we were messaging every day, like talking about, I got this many wins today, I had a bad day, I had a good day. So that part was pretty fun, because a lot of times you get up to rank 8, 9, your elo is kind of high, and then you're just sitting in queues waiting for games. So yeah, I definitely have enjoyed this season. It's different. I think it was good. I think it was a good change for the health of Go Battle League as a whole.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that, because as well, a few things. So I agree with you, what you said about the, like, now you actually forced to play more. But what crazy is that the feedback from the community, I saw it, what you exactly said, that so many people are like, yeah, I'm so excited. And for the first time, I hit rank 9. I hear these stories on Facebook, on all these places. So it's definitely good for the community. And I feel like for you and for people who love PvP, I feel like it wasn't that bad, because from rank 9, that's when the real grind starts anyways, to hit that 10. So I felt like that since we still have the elo, it's still all right. But as far as like, what do you think for hardship, in a way that you think race to rank 10, do you think last season was the worst one so far, or this season is about the same level?
Last season was definitely the worst because of the elo inconsistencies. Like, that part was really rough. People did really well in Great League. I mean, personally myself, I had a really solid run in Great League that got me from my starting elo was bad, and then I kind of figured out a team that I wanted to roll with, and I went from like 23 something to almost 2700, or right around 2700 range. And I was thinking about it, I was like, if we had the same elo games as the end of the season during the beginning, like, I would have jumped 2.5 times that much. So I would have gone straight into like rank 10 from the beginning. So it was like, it kind of was discouraging for a lot of people, because they felt like what they did the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season didn't really mean anything. So I think this season is definitely better. The very first like preseason was like people hit rank 10 in like 60 games, 70 games. So that was like a little bit too easy, but that was a preseason, so they were definitely testing things, I think. But yeah, I think this season has gone really well. I think last season was the worst, and then the first two seasons were pretty similar.
Yeah, that last season was tricky because I didn't know, but it's, first of all, I was pretty just like you. So I got up to what was it? I think I was at 2650 at the start of Ultra, which was fine, and then I sticked around the 2788 that in Ultra, but then the elo changed. Just when you can gain like 60 or what was it, like 60 or 70 points with like a 5 like something crazy, right? At the
It
end of
went
it.
up to towards the end. It was like people were getting like 80, 90, almost
Yep,
100 points for 5 and like at the beginning of the season, it was where you were getting like 35 to 45 for a
exactly.
5 and then it went to a point where it was like 60 to 70 or something, and then
Mhm.
only a couple people had hit rank 10, and then they just like boosted it out of control, and everything was just like go on a 10 game winning streak and you hit rank 10.
Yeah,
It
it's
just
it,
got really crazy.
it was out of control. So, but I'm hoping, and I wanted to ask you if you know anything about this. So, I don't know if you read it, but so season 5, which is almost here technically, but they said there will be no elos. So I guess they're giving out the rank 10 and I guess the what do you call it, like a basic post for everybody to accomplish, and I guess Pikachu or something like that. That's what I read about it. But that's not even the question I want to ask you, because we already know kind of what that's all about. But there was a little hint, and I don't know if you know anything about this, but they said in the same article that for season 6, so not only they said what season 5 is, but they mentioned hope you guys are ready for season 6, because basically they said we are going to be in for a treat, and the season 5 is like an in-betweener because they need time to set up season 6. So do you know, and do you have any idea or any hopes that they might do for season 6 that you wish to see?
I have learned that if you think the Niantic's going to do something, to always just assume that you're going to be wrong, because they'll just do whatever they want at a certain point. But I think that the season 6 is going to be, or season 5, like you said, is going to be strictly like win based. And I actually believe that Niantic is going to, like, I'd speculate, the Niantic is going to go to that for the future moving forward and do exclusively wins. And then you get an ELO once you hit rank 10. And that way, and then like the leaderboards will come after everybody that's rank 10 is rank 10, and that will be like, I think, how they'll do it eventually, because I just think that this, like, the elo system is cool and all, but go battle league is so volatile, like it's so random. Like you definitely, you have hot streaks and cold streaks and stuff, and just giving people X amount of wins like ensures that people are participating, and that's the best thing for it, because as long as people are playing it, then people are getting more interested in it. But if people are not wanting to play because their elo is too high, or their starting elo was low and they're discouraged and they feel like they're not going to hit rank 10, then it's just a feature in a game that some people like and most people don't. So
Yeah, that's a good point, and I can see that happening. But if that happens, I really hope at that point they would create something that you will get different rewards based on your elo points after rank 10, because then it would be a different grind for people who want to push through, rank 10. And then also what I'm really hoping, and I really hope this will happen, to have an actual playoffs for people who are, let's say, at the top 100, or if they can do it with the top 500 if it's like a dropout type of playoffs, you know what I mean? So I would love to see that. Any idea? Would you like to see a playoffs, you think?
I think that, I don't know about that precisely, but I think that tournaments and things of that nature are like an eventuality more so than just a possibility. I think obviously there's issues with gameplay and issues with servers and things of that. They want to be really credible, I think, once before they can start doing that. And we're kind of all the guinea pigs. Like they're all, asking questions and reading our complaints, some well worded, some a little bit more angry. But but yeah, I think that I think what they could do is definitely add more rewards for people that get higher up. You could have rank 10 rewards and then rewards for people who actually cross the 3000 MMR, because you could have rank 10s who win 600 games, 500 games, whatever the floor would be for it, and they might not necessarily have 3000 MMR, like how there's rank 9s now that are 2100, 2200. So they could definitely split people up further, or even put like rank 11, or they could put, you know, take people based off of their leaderboard positions throughout seasons and have them play in tournaments or have brackets and stuff. Like, all those things are possible. It just depends how much they really want to push the competitive side of it, as opposed to, you know, now they're getting more towards, you know, let's get people rank 10, let's get people Pikachus, let's get people to keep playing, because the more people play, the better the product will be in the long term, and the better the community will be for it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the Niantic's ways, we want people to play more and all that, you know? So,
Yeah.
but I feel like, because I got into this as well, just like you did, and so many of us, because of PvP, and also with the content creation that just went nuts since PvP arrived. Because there's so many people creating content, and so many people actually searching and watching the content on Twitch and YouTube and everything. So if PvP becomes like a real competition, like esports or something like that, which I will ask you in 1 second
Yeah.
about, but if that becomes reality, I really think that Pokemon Go would actually blow up, and everywhere, like in any way possible, and more people would play. Because, I mean, think about it. There are, even today, in NBA, in NFL, in MLB, all the pro sports, all the kids, what they want to be, you know, a pro athlete, a pro sports, and the parents, what they want their kids to be, you know, to play for that team. But what are the chances of that? It's very low, but they still play the sport because they like it, they want to be that, they look up to the athlete. So same thing here. If, let's say, there is 100 esports athletes, I guarantee you there will be 1 million PvP players who think they will make it to esports. So that will create this effect, you know, trickling down,
Yeah.
and they think they can have it. So my question is, what do you think? Do you think that Pokemon Go will ever get to esports, and would you like it to get to esports?
Um, that's a tough question, because they, I don't remember when it was, but there was like a release kind of thing where they were talking about PvP and stuff, and it seemed as if Niantic wasn't super, they weren't like super into it being an esport, like more so this was just a feature added to the game. So I don't know if that's what they want. I don't know how much the Pokemon Company itself wants competitions and stuff, because they did have the that invitational with King and Poke AK and some other notable players and presences in like the Pokemon community, where they had that 8-person tournament in Washington D.C. I think it was. And so it all depends the direction, but I definitely think so, because I remember seeing a stat. I was watching something like an esports kind of like documentary thing on a flight one time, and I saw they were talking about how like this one, a couple like different tournaments had more views from streams in general than like the Super Bowl. And there's a lot of there's just such a big market for it. And unfortunately, with the reality of like COVID stuff, there's been such a boom because people are just at home. And, you know, without constant sports, or sports in the sense that they are, and the form that they are, like gaming is not impacted by it. Like people can game, and if anything, it's impacted positively, because even more people are playing and there's more time to dedicate to it. So like I don't see why it wouldn't become that, or it couldn't, you know, if it is, because there's such a good Twitch following right now, like, and they're growing by the day, all the streamers and stuff in the Pokemon Go community. And if the game just got even more stable and more tournament based and outlets for play, like it could definitely just blow up, I think.
And it's such a to put that, it's such a easy game to watch, in a way that it's emotional.
Yeah.
You can feel the pains and the successes and the wins, and it's just so easy to see what's going on. So, and again, it's like, it's not like chess, you know what I mean? It's chess in a way that how you play as a player, because so many tactics involved, and so complex. But as far as for watching, it's entertaining. So that's how I'm like, and it's so quick, which is also cool.
Yeah.
So it's literally I think if when I looked it up online, I was like, this is like the perfect sport, perfect esport, because these are such a quick tournament, such a quick battles, versus like a battle royale of Fortnite, which takes like 6 hours, to conclude. This is a little bit different. But to get back on track, so also Silph Arena. So Silph Arena just started, and have you done any tournaments yet for this or practice or anything like that? How are you doing so far?
I practiced a little bit when the cup was first announced, and a day or so after that. But I haven't done any tournaments yet. I'm not entirely sure how aggressively I'm going to take this Silph season. I'm really like, last season I really enjoyed like in-person tournaments. I never played, or I joined like a Go Stadium lobby last season, like halfway through the season, just because I wanted to get a little extra practice. But I had never played in a remote tournament in season 1 of Silph. Like, I didn't play in any remote tournaments that I ever like waited or really mattered until I was pretty much like forced to, like everybody else. Um, it was cool, but it's just, I don't get the same feeling. Like, I like hanging out with like locals, or I've come up to Tampa a handful of times and gone and played at I can't remember what the game store is called there. It's really convenient just being able to play whenever. But yeah, I do like Silph a lot, and I support Silph a lot, but it just, remote tournaments aren't really my thing. So I I will probably play in a handful, but I don't know that I'm gonna be super dedicated to it this season.
So I agree with you with the in-person tournaments, because I think that just changes everything. And then you mentioned it earlier too, Poke AK and King, when they had that invitation only. That was the top of the whole week over there at the festival. So I remember that, and it has the most views. It has like 1 million views, and it's still today. It's everybody's mentioning it. So it was definitely a thing. But COVID happened, and they never had another one since. So I'm hoping it will resume, because it changes everything. But yeah, I never actually done a real cup in person. I only did the practice cup in person, because after that COVID hit. But I really want to experience the real cup, what you're talking about, and I really don't enjoy, what you just said too. The online is just not my thing. When I sit and then just wait and Discord and the message and then tournament, and especially when it's 48 hours, because then you have to like set up a time, and then I don't like it. So, but I hope it will resume soon in person. But so, what do you think? Last season you did pretty well in Silph Arena, right?
Yeah, I hit elite, which
Mhm.
is the second highest. Legend obviously was the first, but there was only, I think, six legends or seven legends. Um, so yeah, I essentially hit, the highest ranking that uh, most hardcore players reached. Yeah, it wasn't a bad season. I just really, COVID stuff kind of changed everything, and I was pretty highly ranked for a while.
Mhm.
Um, After I would do my weighted tournament each month, like, I'd be somewhere in the range of like 50 to like 150 as far as like global ranking and stuff.
Mhm.
So it was a good season. I had fun. I didn't qualify for continentals or win the regionals, but outside of that, I did really well. It was a good season. I definitely enjoy Silph a lot. I played season 1 very like casually, sort of. I
Mhm.
played basically just like one tournament each month, just to get it in, um, and then I just decided to take it a little more seriously in season 2. But yeah, remote's definitely not my favorite. So
Which one, if you would pick and choose, which one would you prefer the most? Would you like Go Battle League better, or Silph Arena? And then not just in the current stance, it could be like in the future, because eventually you never know. Pokemon Go is already aiming to those separate cups and different metas and all those things. So what do you think? Do you think you might warm up more to Go Battle League, or you will always pull towards more to Silph Arena once it resumes to in person?
I That's such a tough question. And it's like I'm gonna get like killed by people I know, like whichever one I say. But I personally like as of now, I like Go Battle League a bit more just because it's so like just easy to get it done.
Mhm.
Like I enjoy just, I don't have to message someone to practice games. Like I don't have to sign up for something. Like I don't have to do, even with non-remote tournaments before, like I don't have to drive anywhere to play. Like I can just, if I want to play my sets at 12:01, I can just do it. If I want to play at, if I wake up early one day and have a couple hours before work, like I can just, get the games done. So I enjoy that part of it mostly. It's a fun challenge. Like I enjoy challenging myself to try to figure out good lineups and teams for the blind three format. Like obviously it's lacking in some games. You're just going to
Yep.
get hard countered and lose, which isn't, it happens in Silph as well, but at least you see it coming. Like if somebody has Bastion and two Razor Leafers on their team of six, you know that that is a possibility that you might play against the Grasshole.
Yeah.
So whereas like in Go Battle League, you have no idea and you build for different things. But I do think I think Go Battle League could definitely take off, especially if it, with these cups and also if they add tournament features in the future,
Mhm.
if they have some way to do show sixes, or even if they're like a small version where it's like bring four Pokemon, and use three. Like anything that they do that can add a little more variety to it definitely helps it, but Soph is the OG,
Yeah.
and they've done a great job and they've built a great community, and all the people um, that you see, you know, streaming on Twitch and not all, but I mean a large majority of the streamers on Twitch and people that are, you know, on your podcasts and people that are other places, like they've all linked up and met each other through Silph Arena or something similar at some point. So it definitely, I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Yep.
It's just circumstances that I haven't really been as into it as I was in the past. But yeah, it's definitely, they're definitely both great, and they both offer a lot of ways to improve as a player and a lot of ways to uh, just have fun.
Yeah, and well, super, and it's like I feel like it's like two separate skill sets as well because
Yeah.
just like you said, you can prep a team, and in Go Battle League you can only prep your own team, but you have no idea what you're going to face. So therefore, do you have any recommendation for anybody new or even a veteran how they should like build a team for, let's say, Go Battle League as of right now?
Um, PV Poke. That's a,
Yeah.
the number one answer of I think anybody that you'd ask about that. It's great, just to go into team builder and throw three in and see what your weaknesses are and see, watch some streams. See, I'm weak to this and this. Let me watch a streamer play 25 battles. Is the streamer using this Pokemon? How many opponents are they playing against that are using this? Like, can I make a valid team that covers the meta that I see while also knowing that I'm going to lose to this? Like, how many times will I see this in a day if I play 25 battles? Like, it's all kind of like probability analytics, sort
Yep.
of like figuring out like if I'm weak to this, but I only see three of those a day, and maybe I'm good enough to win against one.
Yep.
Like 23 potential wins in a day is a pretty high amount for a team. So like if I can win half of those, then I've got 11 or 12 wins, and it's a, if you can go 13, 14, 15 wins in a day, you're going to gain elo. So it's not it's not as daunting, stacking it up because there is a meta, but it's just that the order of the meta and what people are using and how they're building teams to combat it is different. And it's just figuring out something that works for you, building a team that you think is that you're comfortable with, and just sticking with it.
Now reminds me, were you the one when Obstagoon came out and you first used it and just destroyed the meta?
I built a good team last season with Obstagoon. And it's funny because what I was saying about, figuring out if you can win or lose, I stopped using that team because the entirety of the team was weak to Galvantula.
Yeah.
And when the Galvantula buff happened, I was like, okay, well, now I have to just figure out a new team. Like, I can't go into, I felt really good about the team I used in season 3. But then what happened is you see the overcorrection of all the Galvantula counters, like Alola Marowak, Galarian Stunfisk, all these different things. And it basically turned into where, like, I was seeing like 2 or 3 Galvantulas a day tops, because the people who were using it were losing a lot. Like, I mean, not everybody, obviously there's people that are winning, but depending on how you used it and your skill with it, like, people were losing a lot. So I actually started using the team again because I just didn't see it, and started like kind of climbing with it and having good days with it again. So it was just a shift. And that's the thing, it's like, just because the well dries up once doesn't mean that it's dried up forever. And it's just about how you adapt to the things that you see and how it will adapt back around you, and if you react or not.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. What do you think, as far as for favorite teams, or not necessarily favorite, what would be your, let's say, favorite team or the most usable team that you enjoy playing with and maybe you got the most success with? So it could be 2 different ways. Like, one is absolute favorite to play, but you're not doing very well with it. And then one that you don't really like, but you're extremely good with that team, for like Great League, for example.
I don't know. For Great League, I don't know if there's a team that I don't like that I'm good with. I don't really like having a team that's susceptible to like the traditional grass hole team.
Yeah.
Like, not being able to beat the Bastion lead and not having answers to the grasses in the back, which was how the Obstagoon team came about, because it was Obstagoon, Hypno, and Driftbloom. And like Driftbloom counters the normal grass. Hypno countered the grass poison, like Victory Bell. And then, Obstagoon in the lead would take care of the Bastiodon. So it was built specifically to counter a lot of things in the meta, but also always beat that variation of Grasshole. So, like, I played Abomasnow, Sableye, Azumarill last season, and it would work really well, especially as you got higher up in Elo, because there's less people running like Grasshole and stuff at some of like the higher levels, because people just kind of shun it. Like, they don't want to be like, they're not trying to get like just quick easy wins. Like, they're trying to really like figure out the meta and stuff. So like, that team was one that I enjoyed, but it was definitely really successful. But like, I don't know if I've had a lineup that I've used that I didn't really like. I guess, like, I don't know. I try to not use teams that like another content creator or somebody has like made, just because, one, I know that if it's like a really good team, like, it's gonna get countered. Like, people are gonna just start countering it, and I don't want to be in like the one who plays it on the day where you go like 8-17, because you're just getting countered all day with it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I definitely I've had some interesting teams and played some different stuff, but I don't think there's any team I really don't like, unless I just lose a lot with it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because it's so crazy to see that how the meta changes, and then per different levels of when you go up 150 points, you might face an entire different meta. And what I want to ask you is that, so what do you think? Because that raises the question, to me at least, that let's say if right now, for example, let's say if you're at 2800, which is obviously right now the highest, I believe, like something like that in the 2800s. So if you are there, do you think that you like can predict the meta, because the most players like play safe, and comparison, not to each other, but comparison to like the 2300s, let's say, because there I feel like that people just like throwing Pokemon at it, and they just try everything that they see on YouTube. You know what I mean? So that's what it seemed like to me. So my question is, do you think that it's almost like, it's a tricky question because like, do you think, even though it's not, but do you think like, as far as to building a team, maybe battling is definitely harder. But as far as maybe to try to stick out with one team at 2800 versus in 2300s, do you think it's easier in a way to be encountered? Or you know what I tried to say? So if you think that, let's say, okay, good. So what do you think about that?
I think that it's interesting because the thing is, like, if you're climbing with a team,
Mhm.
like if you're winning a lot of leads, once you get to that next elo level,
Mhm.
you should assume that a good amount of the players that are there are playing something maybe similar to what you're playing,
Mhm.
because they're probably climbing through the same people. Because like you can watch people streams, like there's been more like dual streams lately with two people playing at the same time.
Mhm.
And you'll see where like one of them plays somebody and the next time the person next to them queues up, they play like the same opponent that they just played.
Mhm.
So like there is, in the higher levels there are limited amount of opponents. So like
Mhm.
I every season I play a handful of people like climbing that are, I see certain people every day or every other day. So like you kind of know what people are playing, and if it's, I mean, it still comes down to like a guess at a point. Like there is no real way to predict it, but you do kind of see the trends. Like when you
Yeah.
see a bunch of Obstagoon and Machamp and Toxicroak leads one day, you can assume that you're probably going to see, some kind of correction to it with Charm or Gallade or something, just speaking Ultra League Premier, like within a day or two. And then you're going to see the overcorrection of, Magnezone beating the Charm and Dragonite and things like that. And then, the fighters come back to beat the Magnezone, and it becomes like a just over, like a circle just going over and over. And, it just keeps rotating like that. So
Yeah,
there are some tendencies, but it's not always, it is still kind of a guessing game at the end of the day.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that also raises the question that, so how often would you change your team? Would you change your team based on what you just said when the meta shifts like that, or go up by, like, what I'm trying to get from you is basically, because obviously you're very skilled, so you have done this many times. So do you stick with a team for a long period of time all the way up as you're climbing, or based on what you said, when you reach X different levels of elo points, you change the team, or if you start losing, you change the team, or like, do you have like a measurement point, I guess I should say, to when you start like thinking that, all right, maybe the team is not working anymore?
It kind of depends, like, because I tell people all the time that Go Battle League is just a game of like streaks and
Mm-hmm.
runs. It's not, there's you're not going to win 15 games a day. Even if you're good, like you're going to have a day where you win 8, 9, 10 games. It's just going to happen. Like, so if you can withstand that and not get discouraged by, like I said, like how the meta keeps like going in a circle. So
Mm-hmm.
like if you had a hot day one day, like 2 or 3 days later, you'll probably have another hot day. So like if you're not really getting countered bad, like if you're still kind of treading water, like 11, 12, 13 wins, like close to 500, like it may not be wise to just completely switch it up, because you might get, you might drown in like in like a bad switch, like you might have a bad day. Whereas if you played your team, you might learn how to win an extra game against something that you lost to the day before. You might lose a game and be like, okay, if I had done this, like I could have it, like that game was mine. So like you might play that same person next day, and now you know what to do. And if they won, they're probably not going to make a huge adjustment because they don't think that you're going to know how to beat them. So yeah, I wouldn't, it's situational. Like if I have like a really bad day, then I might, just try something new just to see like if maybe something sticks a little bit. But I don't try to get too up or too down on good or bad days. I like the comfort of knowing my team. So I tend to usually stick with things as much as I can within reason.
What would be your favorite league out of the three plus, of course, Premier? If you would have to pick to only play at one every season, which one would you pick?
Um, I would pick Great.
Great. Yeah.
I don't I know Great is really like varied and there's a lot of, there's some cheesy teams and stuff that
Yeah.
people use, but it's what I know the best. And like the thing about Great is everything is kind of small.
Hmm.
So if you can like gaining energy advantage in certain matchups can flip a lot of matchups more because even like Swampert and stuff like that, like resisted hydro cannons do a ton of damage to stuff. Like
Yep.
whereas in Ultra, like you get Swampert locked on like Venusaur, like unless you can
Yep.
hit it with Earthquake, like and have a big energy advantage or shield advantage, like it's gonna kill you.
Yep.
So there's not a lot of like there's not as much flipping, I don't feel like, in the bigger leagues because things can take hits. So
Hmm.
like Great offers like a more fast paced kind of like if I switch here, like I get two snarls in with this or two mud shots in, like I have enough energy that I can flip this matchup. Like I don't think it's not necessarily as good in the other leagues. Like I've I enjoy regular Ultra League as well, though I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people just play Premier, but yeah, I would definitely say Great League.
And what do you think about Masters? Are you going to Premier or Masters? And then do you have a go-to team just yet?
I have had a lot of success in the past in regular Masters, but with the inclusion of Groudon, it definitely like changed up the meta a lot. It's I haven't done as well since then. I feel like it balanced it out, but as far as like climbing and stuff, it doesn't. I don't have like a lot of fun playing
Yep.
Masters like that. So I have actually been playing Premier more. Like Premier is a small meta, so it's not any like it's not significantly better. But I just think that I think that the Mon that are dominant in Premier are a little more forgiving if you don't have like the best
Hmm.
matchup with them. Whereas like if you get stuck with like something like any dragon against Dialga or any steel against Groudon, like there's just no way out. Whereas like Metagross kind of defines that
Hmm.
league and like you can play through with like a Dragonite. Like there's some other things that they're not super good. Like they're not the best, but you have a little more like flexibility in that league. Like obviously they're still hard counters, but I've grown to like Premier a little bit more as of late.
So yeah, in Premier last season, one funny story is that everybody used Magnezone, right?
Yeah,
And they know exactly how to play with and against it at that point. So that the meta was like so defined. And so what I did is at the very early on, I added instead of the I had Wild Charge, and then instead of Mirror Shot, I had Zap Cannon, and I created lots of videos, and I also live streamed with this, and I had so much fun because people won't expect it, right? So the normal
yeah,
play is that you don't shield the first Wild Charge with your Magnezone if you're not debuffed, right? So nobody would do that. So I would max out my energy, right? And I throw a Zap Cannon. They don't shield it, and they have like barely any health left. So
yeah,
you can literally farm them down with one shield invested in the mirror match. But then the best part is, the absolute best is when you're against a Dragonite. And if a Dragonite doesn't shield, the if it's a shadow, it's one shots it.
yeah.
If it's like has little health, then it remains with like 1 HP and you can farm it down and you don't not even debuffed. You can still track the Dragon Claw.
Yeah,
It was
that's
just
pretty
such a
spicy.
fun time.
Yeah, that's pretty spicy. I've seen some streams where they were using I know like Tho Technical and
Mhm.
Toshi and Valor Ash were using Shadow Magneton in Great
Oh
League with Zap
yeah, I
Cannon,
saw it.
and it was just like obliterating things. Like if you didn't
Yeah,
shield it, like it basically like almost one shot at a full health Cresselia,
yep.
which is like ridiculous because that's one of
I
the
couldn't.
bulkiest Pokemon that exists. So it was pretty crazy. Zap Cannon is it's it's spicy, but if it hits,
Yeah.
it's probably game over.
Well, now people expect it, so it's no longer fun anymore because now everybody
Yeah,
knows. But it was fun at
it's a
first.
little. it's a little bit less surprising now at this
Yeah,
point, but yeah,
yeah.
still pretty cool.
What we're wrapping it up pretty soon. I would just wanted to ask you, what would be like, do you have a specific daily routine that plays around your PvP schedule, your grinding schedule, Stardust gains, or anything like that?
Um, I drive for my job that I
Hmm.
work at, so a lot of times um, I'm like at a place and then drive, so I leave to and from work like multiple times a day and stuff. So I have actually added a few stops that I could reach from my job, and
Oh,
then
cool.
I just like I'll run the gotcha a lot during the day, because I have to be driving anyways. So I'll run the gotcha, like throw an incense on, like I'll grind that out. Like I can get a lot of gifts done while I'm at work and stuff. Um, yeah, it's kind of just fitting it in while I'm doing other stuff. Like I don't grind as much anymore as I used to. Like before PvP, I definitely was more into grinding and catching, and like especially during events and stuff. Definitely play harder during events, especially if it's like a Stardust event or something like that.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, on the PvP schedule, it just depends. Like sometimes I'll play Go Battle League at like midnight if I'm up and awake. Like sometimes I'll just play a set here or there throughout the day and then like finish them up in the evening. Um, it just depends. I just kind of take it day by day. I try to not have a big like a major routine, because then you just kind of get burnt out on it. Like I like to still be a little spontaneous and kind of like enjoy the grinding aspect, because it does definitely get repetitive. So
Got it. I mean, that's good to know because I always want to know how the most successful PvP players spend their days, and how you actually build teams and all those. That's the whole point of the podcast, to learn from each other, and then
yeah,
hopefully everybody gets better. And of course, to put yourself more out there, because if people don't know who you are, they should definitely know because they can learn a lot from you. So, which brings me to my one of my last questions. What I wanted to ask you is that where could people find you if they want to get in touch with you on Twitter or anywhere? Where could they get in touch with you?
yeah, on Twitter, at JEngels21. Um, yeah, I don't I have a Twitch. I mostly just watch stuff with it. I haven't streamed on it. That could be something that I do in the future.
Mhm.
Not entirely sure yet, but yeah, pretty much Twitter is a good way to reach me. I'm in a bunch of Discord servers, so if you just like search, it's the same name. Um, I mean, I get random like DM sometimes from people like asking stuff, or if we played, people have tagged me on channels like Go Stadium server, like stuff like that, like telling me good games and stuff. So, but yeah, Twitter for sure. Twitter is the best one. I haven't been posting a ton of stuff
Mhm.
recently on there. I read a lot of stuff and like stuff, and stay in the know, but I'll definitely be posting a lot more recently, so, or in the future. So yeah.
Glad to hear that, and I'm sure that we're gonna see a Speedy as Chief 2 featuring some of your teams in the future.
Yeah, I let him I let him take them, and then he plays them better than me on the stream. So they just kind of become his, but it's cool.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Is there anything else you would want to mention or say, or anything before we wrap this up?
No, I really appreciate being here. I enjoy the podcast. I haven't watched all of them. I'm not gonna be like the guys like, oh, I'm the biggest fan. I watched every episode, but I do watch a good amount. Like I definitely, if I know the person, I try to watch it,
Yep.
whenever I can. So yeah, when Lyndon told me that you wanted to have me on, I was super excited. Unfortunately, like it kind of was hard to match schedules for a little bit to get on here, but it was definitely well worth the wait from my end. So I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here, and thank you so much, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. And thank you for watching.